All right, I believe we have a quorum then, so we can go ahead and get started. Just a couple of reminders, if you could please mute your line when you're not speaking so that we can eliminate background noise. Just please don't mute our line, which shows up to you all as Brayton. So please don't mute Brayton. We like him, we don't want to mute him. And then we are recording, so just a reminder for that. And I will go through the agenda and defer to Dr. Ott as we move through. And then I will also lead our roll call voting. Just a reminder, you can aye, nay, or abstain as we go through those items we need to vote on. We do have a action-packed day today, so we will try and move through things as quickly as we can, but there is a lot of material that we're covering, and apologies in advance, Dr. Ott and Dr. Marshall, you've heard it multiple times and you're gonna get to hear it again. With that, I think we are good to go ahead and get started. So I will turn it over to you, Dr. Ott, for the call to order.
Yes, I will call the November meeting of the DUR board to order and apologize ahead of time for this thing. And the fact that he is sitting and growling behind my back. Okay. So I will apologize. Isn't he? I know. It's fortunate for him. I don't have any other comments.
I vote that you come into the State House with him so that he can be our mascot for the day when you're here. I think
I agree. We can take turns walking him.
All right. With that then, thank you. I will turn it over to, I think maybe Mr. Ross is doing opening comments from OMPP. If Mr. Ross, if you are not and you want somebody else, just let them know.
Let me see, who could I pick? No. Thank you, Amanda. I do appreciate the board's understanding around some of the craziness, we've been working with new groups with regards to preference. And so we have had to make some dramatic changes to our board and committee schedule. So I appreciate everyone's understanding and flexibility on that. I also want to recognize Dr. Sully Simon. Today's board meeting will be her last. She's retiring from the board after several years of help to the state, and we very much appreciate her being on the board and wish her well as she goes into new endeavors. So thank you again, Dr. Simon.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you both, and thank you as well, Dr. Simon. Appreciate your service on the board. With that, I believe that takes us to the next agenda item, which is the approval of the minutes.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Sorry.
It's Beth. I motion we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second, Dr. Marshall.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott.
Aye.
Ms. Phippen.
Aye.
Dr. Hart.
Abstain because I was not there.
Okay. Dr. Marshall.
Aye.
And Dr. McCarty.
Aye.
Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
And Dr. Simon, did you want to vote on this since you're still on and you were, I believe you were at the last meeting?
I can, yes, if that is appropriate, I'll vote aye.
Okay, yep, we're fine with that. Thank you. All right, we have all ayes and one abstention, so that motion will carry. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is we do have some expiration of terms for our therapeutics committee members. So we have 3 that are expired that we need to have the board renew if they would so desire to renew them, which we hope they do. First is Brian Musial. He's been on the therapeutics committee, I think, as long as I've been here. So that's 13 years, so probably longer than that at this point. And Dr. Rashid Patel. And then Dr. Christine Negendank has decided that she would like to retire from her time on the therapeutics committee. So we wanted to let you know that her term is expiring and that she is going to be retiring. So we appreciate her service as well on the therapeutics committee. But just wanted to let you know. So the two that we have up for vote for continued service would be Brian Musial and Rashid Patel.
This is Beth. I make a motion that we can start a new term. They start new terms, I guess. Is that what you need?
That sounds
This
perfect.
is Pat, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
Dr. Simon.
Aye.
And Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right, we have all ayes, so that motion will carry. Thank you. We will let them know, and congratulations to both of them and their continued service on the therapeutics committee. All right, with that, we will then turn to our PA stats for the month of October 2025. So we had just a little over 19,000 approved, which was 79%, and a little over 5,000 denied at 21%. When we look at our point of sale quick check versus manual PAs, we had overall 83% approved in point of sale quick check and 17% denied. Of those that were denied, 26% went to the call center, where 80% were approved and 20% were denied. So very consistent with what we usually see. And then on the manual PA side, we had 49% approved and 51% denied. And then when you look at our overall trending graph, again, very relatively steady, just some slight decrease in the number of approvals, but nothing overall super significant, pretty steady from what we've been seeing. And then in our top 10 for point of sale quick check, stimulants, and then clonidine, guanfacine, and opiate overutilization were the top three. We did add some additional updates in the clonidine, guanfacine PA, which is why that kind of broke up into the top three again over the antipsychotics. And then in our top 10 for the manual PAs, we have the GLP-1s, early refills, and anti-migraine agents. Again, you'll probably notice that Wegovy and Zepbound continue to climb their way up on the manual PA side, and they're now in the top 4. So just want to point that out. Any questions on any of those before I go into the opioid stats? All right. So we did have a slight decrease in the total number of utilizers from September, and then a slight increase in new utilizers from September and October, but nothing super substantial. Overall, really pretty steady. Our kiddos under 18, a very steady number, and again, their day supply is always hanging around 4.5, 4.6, so pretty consistent with what we've seen there. You can see then the breakdown of the average MME and the number of utilizers and those that are PA exempt. So the vast majority of our folks are PA exempt right now. As of October 1st, we're at 325 MME. And so in January, we'll be moving down to 300, I believe. And then from there, I think we do an even slower taper. So we will continue to see that kind of 250 to 500 group continue to shrink down or become PA exempt. So when we look at our folks that are above 90, again, the vast majority of them are in the less than 90 group or in the 90 to 120. So we have very, very small numbers that are in the groups above that. And then if we look at kind of our overall trend, so just a reminder, the green is our current utilizers that are adults, the cranberryish color is our new utilizer, and then the purpley color at the top is our current utilizers that are under 18. So overall, very steady. We did kind of have this period where we had like a step down and then we started stepping back up a little bit. And then really since kind of the May, June timeframe, it's been kind of fairly steady where it just bumps up or down just slightly. So fairly steady from what we've seen here over the past several months. This is our less than 90 MME. So you can see overall the less than 90 group, they had kind of a big dip there in February, but then since then have kind of gone back up and have been really pretty steady for several months now. And then this is the everybody above 90 group. And so overall, also kind of fairly steady and what we expect to see overall right now. The 750 and above group and the 500 and above group are pretty much flatlined. And then our 250 to 500 did have this period where it kind of went up a little bit, but now it seems to have come back down. So I don't know that I have a lot of great answers for that, aside from, maybe somebody in the 200 to 250 group bumped up a little bit and then came back down. Because again, we have very, very small numbers that we're talking about here. So any little 1 or 2 patients change can really drastically change what this graph looks like. But fairly consistent with what we expect. Any questions on that before we move into our fun times? All right. So, as I think you all know, we now have the mental health agents that historically were on a part of the Mental Health Quality Advisory Committee and on the Mental Health Utilization Edits list, and everything was preferred. That rule did change, and so we are reviewing those recommendations as a part of the CNS and others. And they were reviewed already by both the Mental Health Quality Advisory Committee and the Therapeutics Committee, which Dr. Ott now graciously serves on all 3 committees so that she can track across them and provide that feedback to the Therapeutics Committee. I think you all have seen in the upcoming meetings, the Therapeutics Committee will be the first review so that they can review the financial piece, and then it will go to the Mental Health Quality Advisory Committee to review, and then subsequently to you all to review. So I'll kind of go through some of the level setting as we go through some of these. It's going to be presented in similar ways consistent with how we present all of our Therapeutics Committee recommendations. But I'll point out some things with the recommendations themselves as we get to those agents. So in the CNS and others, the Therapeutics Committee has no recommended changes in the classes listed here. Bless you, Dr. Treadwell. And for the agents for the treatment of opioid use disorder or overdose, the Therapeutics Committee is recommending that Brixadi move to preferred, and then updating its drug-specific PA criteria to remove the step through Sublocade, but it will still have drug-specific PA criteria. And then Zerna, a new nalmefene agent, moved to non-preferred. And then the antiemetic anti-vertigo agents, the Anzamet tablet, granisetron solution for injection, and palonosetron injection, maintaining their non-preferred statuses and quantity limits, but adding a step therapy that they must have previous trial of ondansetron in any formulation and provide medical justification for use of the requested agent over ondansetron. Sancuso patch, the granisetron patch, maintaining its non-preferred status and adding step therapy that the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of the granisetron patch over the generic granisetron tablet and injectable. And then Sustol injection, maintaining non-preferred status, and then adding that the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of the injection over the tablets. And the generic injectable, probably should add that in too. All right. So for the anti-seizure agents, I kind of want to make a note here. So there were several products on the Mental Health Quality Advisory Committee or Mental Health Utilization Edits list that were considered preferred because they were cross-indicated. So they had mental health indications in the cross-indicated group, and so they were consistently considered preferred. So we have taken those agents that were on that list that have also been on the anti-seizure list and made sure that they're maintained in this class. So if they were preferred before, unless we otherwise state that they're going to be something different, you can just assume that they're going to continue to be preferred. And then, so if we don't state it, it doesn't mean it's not part of this class or won't be continued. And then the anti-seizure agents PA criteria, updating that criteria to enforce the generic medically necessary PA for generic equivalents or generic versions of branded agents for products on the preferred brand drug list. So those agents that we prefer the brand over the generic, we're going to have criteria that requires that they go through a generic medically necessary PA. Claims that are For generic products that have a DAW1 where the prescriber is writing that way will be exempt. And then gold card prescribers will not qualify for the exemption. So they do need to submit PA as to why they couldn't use the branded agent instead of the generic in that situation. Any questions on that before I start going into quite a lot of drugs? All right. The carbamazepine suspension and ER tablet, the generic Tegretol, we're going to maintain their preferred status and remove their generic medically necessary criteria. The Depakote DR and ER tabs, the brand only, will move to non-preferred and maintain BMN criteria. The gabapentin solution, the generic Neurontin, will move to non-preferred, maintain its max total daily dose of 3,600 milligrams per day, and add generic medically necessary criteria. Gabarone, the 100 milligram and 400 milligram tablets of gabapentin, will move to non-preferred, maintain their max dose of 3,600, and then they're going to have step therapy that the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of the Gabarone tablet over the preferred gabapentin capsules. The Lamictal chew, moving to non-preferred and adding brand medically necessary criteria. The Lamictal ODT, IR, and XR tab, moving to non-preferred and maintaining brand medically necessary criteria. The Lamictal IR kit and ODT kit, maintaining as preferred status and their quantity limits, and then adding to the preferred brand drug list. So the Lamictal IR kit and ODT kit will be preferred over the generic. The lamotrigine IR kit and ODT kit that I just mentioned are going to move to non-preferred, maintaining their respective quantity limits and adding to generic medically necessary PA criteria. The Keppra injection solution tab and XR tab will move to non-preferred and add brand medically necessary criteria. The Lyrica capsules will maintain preferred status, their respective quantity limits, and then will remove the brand medically necessary criteria. And then the Lyrica solution, this is for the brand only, maintaining its preferred status and quantity limit and adding to the preferred brand drug list. So again, Lyrica capsules and the solution will be preferred over the generics. And then midazolam injection will move to neutral. It was previously in a preferred status, and then we're going to maintain it in the sedative hypnotics benzodiazepine PA criteria. This is mostly used on the medical side, so we're just trying to place it in the most appropriate location. The midazolam syrup, maintaining preferred status and maintaining it in the sedative hypnotics benzodiazepine PA criteria. The Neurontin solution, the brand, will maintain as preferred its max daily dose of 3,600 and then adding it to the preferred brand drug list. On-fee suspension and tab, the brand only will move to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and adding VMN criteria. Oxcarbazepine ER, this is the generic Oxtellar XR, will move to non-preferred and add generic medically necessary criteria. The pregabalin solution, the generic for Lyrica, will move to non-preferred and add generic medically necessary criteria. And then Subbanite, this is a lamotrigine IR tab, moving to non-preferred and maintaining its quantity limits. The Subbanite IR kits, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limit and generic medically necessary criteria. And then Sympazan, which is a clobazam, moving to non-preferred and adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of the clobazam tablet or suspension, and prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of the Sympazan film over the clobazam tablet and suspension. The Tegretol IR tablets, maintaining as preferred and adding to the preferred brand drug list. The Topamax sprinkle capsule and IR tab, moving to non-preferred but maintaining its BMN criteria. The Topiramate ER sprinkle capsules, this is the generic Qdexy, maintaining its preferred status and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must be 2 years of age or older or less than 12 years of age, or 12 years of age or older and unable to swallow capsules. The Topiramate ER capsules, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and maintaining its generic medically necessary criteria. The Topiramate IR solution, this is the generic Eprontia, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and step therapy and its GMN criteria. And then the Trileptal IR tablets and suspension, moving to non-preferred and adding brand medically necessary criteria. Before I move on from the anti-seizure agents, I also want to point out that there is continuation of therapy that's in the PA already. So for a lot of these agents that are moving, unless we're talking about a brand over generic that we switch, the other agents should have continuation of therapy in place for them. Any questions on anti-seizure, since I know I just gave you a whole lot of drugs? All right. The gastroprotective agents, the Viscoxa, which is a oral celecoxib suspension, moving to non-preferred, adding step therapy that they must be 2 years of age and older and less than 12 years of age, or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the capsules. All right. Now we're going to get into our new classes for our mental health agents. So I'd like to point out here too, there are several products that you're not going to see on the PowerPoint presentation that were previously on the mental health utilization edits list. That does not mean we're not covering them anymore. It just means we're not going to manage them on the PDL. Most of these agents are cross-indicated agents. For example, Benadryl. We're not going to manage Benadryl on the PDL. That doesn't mean it's not still covered. It is still available. So they will just be in a neutral status and still available to individuals. We will have their, so they'll still be able to see those on the OTC drug formulary, et cetera, if it's part of that agent. And then we have all the other agents will be moving into a separate class that we have now, and then we'll be defining their status as well. Any questions on that? So the kind of level setting, and then you'll see this as we go throughout. So you'll see the kind of current PDL status has everything as preferred, because that's technically how it is. Currently, everything is preferred. In the future, we'll have things where they'll be either preferred or non-preferred based on what you see in there. And then there are some classes where we do break it out into subclasses so that we make sure that we're comparing appropriate apples to apples when we are reviewing preferred versus non-preferred. You will also see, like in Adlarity, which is up here as your example, that there is a patient has history of Adlarity for 90 of the past 120 days. This is our continuation of therapy allowance. So you'll see this on several agents that we're adding that in as a continuation of therapy. So that in most cases, if somebody's on an agent already, we're allowing continuation of therapy if they've been consistently using it for at least 90 days. Any questions on that kind of level setting? All right. Brand name agents, Aricept tablets, Exelon patch, and Namenda ER capsules and titration pack are going to move to non-preferred, maintaining their age and quantity limits, and then maintaining brand medically necessary criteria. Adlarity is going to move to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits. And then it will have step therapy that the prescriber must provide medical justification for the topical formulation or have history of Adlarity use, as I mentioned earlier. For galantamine oral solution, maintaining its preferred status and quantity limit, and then adding step therapy that they must be unable to swallow the tablet formulation. The memantidine donepezil, this is the generic Namzaric, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and GMN criteria, and then adding step therapy that the prescriber must provide documentation that the separate components are not suitable for use. The Namzaric brand formulation moving to non-preferred, maintaining quantity limits and maintaining on the preferred brand drug list. So just pointing out that even though they're both non-preferred, the brand is a little bit more preferred over the other generic non-preferred, if you will. And then it will have step therapy that the prescriber must provide documentation supporting separate components are not suitable for use, or history of Namzaric use in the past 90 of 120 days. For Zunbale, move to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and adding step therapy for a trial and failure of galantamine, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use or history of Zunbale. And that concludes our Alzheimer's groups class. So moving then into the anti-anxiety and related disorders. For brand named agents, Ativan injection, Klonopin tablet, Valium tablet, Xanax IR and XR tablet, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and PA criteria and VMN criteria. I'd also like to point out this is the first class where you can see we've broken it out into subclasses. So we do have it broken out from benzodiazepines to non-benzodiazepines. So again, we're comparing apples to apples when we review preference status. Bucapsule is a new buspirone capsule formulation, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits with step therapy that the member must have previous trial and failure of buspirone tablets, and prescriber must provide rationale for bucapsule over the buspirone tablet. Igalmi, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its PA criteria, age, and quantity limits. And Lorive XR, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its PA criteria, age, and quantity limits. Meprobamate, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and adding step therapy that they must have previous trial and failure of buspirone IR and hydroxyzine. And the prescriber must provide rationale for meprobamate use over buspirone IR and hydroxyzine or history of meprobamate. All right, moving on then into the antidepressants. For brand named agents, Celexa tablets, Cymbalta capsules, Effexor XR capsules, Forfivo XL tablets, Lexapro tablets, Paxil IR tablets, CR tablets in the oral suspension, Pristique ER tablets, Prozac capsules, Viabrid tablets, and Zoloft concentrate and tablet. All of them moving to non-preferred, maintaining their age and quantity limits as they have them, maintaining their PA criteria and their brand medically necessary criteria. For the brand named agents, anafranil tablets, Nardil tablets, norpramine tablets, Pamlor capsules, Parnate tablets, Remeron ODT and tablets, and the Wellbutrin SR tablets moving to non-preferred, maintaining their quantity limits and maintaining their brand medically necessary criteria. For the MAOI subclass, so MSAM, Marplan, phenelzine, and tranylcypromine, every time I've done this 3 times. I'm telling you every time. I don't know. It's like a mental block. Moving to non-preferred, maintaining their quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must have previous trial and failure of 1 SSRI and 1 SNRI agent for at least 4 weeks, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use, or they have history of one of these requested agents. So again, this is just safety related and guideline related and what's recommended to utilize first for individuals. The bupropion ER, the generic Forfivo XL 450 milligram tablet, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limit, and then step therapy that the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use over the preferred bupropion agents or history of the bupropion ER 450. So there is a 300 and a 150 available in the other generic formulations. So if for some reason they have history of use of this or they can't use the other 2 strengths, then they could submit that PA criteria. The citalopram capsule, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limit and PA criteria. And just a reminder, when I say maintain PA criteria in the SSRI, SNRI, there is a class-wide PA criteria around duplicate therapy. So that's what we're referring to here. And then adding step therapy that they must have previous trial and failure of citalopram tablets, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of the capsule over the tablet, or they have history of the capsule. For the citalopram, escitalopram, and fluoxetine oral solutions, maintaining their preferred status, quantity limits, and again, their PA criteria around duplicate therapy. And then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the capsule tablet formulation or history of use. For Drizalma, this is the duloxetine sprinkle, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and PA criteria around duplicate therapy, and then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the capsule formulation or history of the sprinkle. For the escitalopram capsule, moving to non-preferred, adding a quantity limit of 1 capsule per day. This is a new formulation, and then adding to the duplicate SSRI, SNRI PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must have previous trial and failure of the escitalopram tablet, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of the capsule over the tablet or history of use of the capsule. Exua tablet, moving to non-preferred, adding a quantity limit of 1 tablet per day and 1 titration pack per 90 days, and then adding an age limit of 18 years of age or older, And then step therapy that they must have trial and failure of 2 preferred antidepressant agents for at least 4 weeks each, or history of Exua for 90 of the past 120. And so when we say history of 2 preferred antidepressant agents, that can be any antidepressant agent in any of the groups that have been listed. For fluvoxamine ER capsules, moving to non-preferred, maintaining PA criteria around duplicate therapy and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they've had previous trial and failure of the fluvoxamine IR tablet formulation, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use, or they have history of the fluvoxamine ER capsule. Nortriptyline oral solution, maintaining its preferred status and quantity limit, and then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow, or history of the nortriptyline solution. The paroxetine oral suspension, maintaining preferred status, age and quantity limits, and PA criteria around duplicate therapy. And then their step therapy is must be unable to swallow the tablet formulation or history of use. You might be wondering why I don't have age here, and that's because we have this at 18 years of age or older based on the drug. For Raldesi is a trazodone oral solution, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limit, and then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or over 12 years of age and unable to swallow the tablet formulation or history of use. And then sertraline capsule, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and PA criteria, then must have trial and failure of the sertraline tablet and medical justification for use or history of the sertraline capsule. And the sertraline oral concentrate, maintaining preferred status, quantity limits, and PA criteria, and then step therapy added that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the tablet formulation or history of use. And then Spravato, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its PA criteria, age, and quantity limits. And so I just want to point out that even though this is non-preferred, they have drug-specific PA criteria that will follow so that they're not having to trial any other preferred formulations. We recognize that that's a little bit different in this situation. Their criteria already calls for the agents that they need to have tried before. And then trimipramine capsules, moving to non-preferred, maintaining their quantity limit, and then step therapy that they must have trial and failure of all preferred tricyclic antidepressants or medical justification for use. All right. And if I haven't depressed you yet, we're going to move on to antipsychotics. All right. I got to take a drink of coffee. I wish I could say we were even halfway done, but I don't think we are. So bear with me. All right, our next group, the antipsychotic and antimanic agents. Again, I want to point out that we do have these broken out. We are not going to ask people who are using something for mania to necessarily trial an antipsychotic, or somebody who's, let's say, using something outside of that to trial an antimanic agent. So we did break these groups out within this class. All right, lots of brand name agents here. Abilify tablets, Clozaril tablets, Geodon, the capsule and the IM solution, Haldol decanoate IM solution, Invega tablet, Latuda tablet, Risperdal oral solution and tablet, Safris sublingual tablet, Seroquel IR XR tablet, Symbyax capsule, Zyprexa IM solution tablet, and Zyprexa Zydus ODT. Moving all those to non-preferred, maintaining their age and quantity limits, maintaining their PA criteria. Again, when we talk about this class, there is a class-wide PA criteria around a whole host of things: duplicate therapy, metabolic monitoring, age, diagnoses. So there's a lot of criteria class-wide across this group. So when we say maintain PA criteria, that's the PA criteria I'm referring to. And then maintaining their brand medically necessary PA criteria. For the brand named agents, Lithobid, ER tablet, moving to non-preferred and maintaining its BMN criteria. And as I've said 3 times now, I'm sure none of us could see this coming, that Abilify MySite, the product that tracks people because people with schizophrenia love to be tracked, is no longer covered because it is CMS termed. Didn't quite take off, I think, in the way they were hoping. The aripiprazole ODT, maintaining preferred status, PA criteria, and age and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the tablet formulation or history of the aripiprazole ODT. For the aripiprazole solution, maintaining preferred status, PA criteria, age, and quantity limits. Then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or over 12 years of age and unable to swallow the tablet formulation or history of the solution. For the clozapine ODT, maintaining its preferred status, PA criteria, age, and quantity limits, and adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of the clozapine tablet and medical justification for use or history of the clozapine ODT. The Cobenfy, moving to non-preferred, updating its drug-specific PA criteria and maintaining its age and quantity limits. And then the Fanapt tablet titration packs, moving to non-preferred, maintaining their age and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of one preferred antipsychotic agent or medical justification for use of Fanapt over the preferred agents or history of use. Lithium solution, maintaining its preferred status and adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the capsule tablet formulation. And then Nuplazid, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limit and updating its drug-specific PA criteria. We recognize again that Nuplazid, there are no other drugs that are used to treat the Parkinson's psychosis. So we have the criteria specified around that. So they're not going to have any other preferred agents that they're trying in this group at this time. It's just drug-specific PA criteria. Opipsa, which is an aripiprazole film, and just the cutest little name ever, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its PA criteria and age and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of the aripiprazole tablets, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use or history of Opipsa. And Perseris IM injection, they are no longer manufactured, so we need to remove them from coverage. This was a risperidone. There are several other risperidone injections still available. Pimozide, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its PA criteria, age, and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that the member has trial and failed 2 of the following for 4 weeks each. So aripiprazole, haloperidol, or risperidone. So they need to do 2 out of those 3, or have history of Pimozide for 90 of the past 120. Then the risperidone microspheres injection solution. So this is the generic Risperdal Consta, moving to non-preferred, maintaining PA criteria, age, and quantity limits, and then maintaining its GFN criteria. And then the risperidone ODT, maintaining its preferred status, PA criteria, age, and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or unable to swallow the tablet formulation or have history of use. The risperidone solution, maintaining preferred status, PA criteria, age, and quantity limits. And again, same step therapy must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the tablet formulation or history of use. And the Rikindo, another risperidone IM injection, they are no longer participating in the MDRP, so they need to be removed from coverage. But again, I promise there are still other risperidone injectable products available. The Secuado patch, moving to non-preferred, maintaining PA criteria, age, and quantity limits, and then having step therapy that they must have trial and failure of the acenapine sublingual, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use or history of the patch. Versaclause, this is the clozapine oral suspension, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its PA criteria, age, and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must be unable to swallow the tablet formulation. And we've made it through antipsychotics and mania. Any questions while I take another swig of coffee and then we try and stay awake through insomnia? All right. We do have this broken down into the benzodiazepines and then the separate I'm combining 2 names, hypnotic sedative agents, and then there is the miscellaneous doxepin hanging out. So for the brand named agents, Ambien, CRIR, the Doral tablets and the Halcyon tablets and Restoril capsules, moving to non-preferred, maintaining their quantity limits, PA criteria, and BMN criteria. And then for the brand name agent Rosarum and Silanor, moving to non-preferred, maintaining their quantity limits and brand medically necessary criteria. So in this class, we do have criteria around benzodiazepines and other sedative hypnotics around duplication. And then some of our agents do not have that same criteria. So you'll see some PA criteria listed there and others for the ones that are not, don't fall in that benzodiazepine group. For Dayvigo, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits and PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of Belsomra, or that the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of the Dayvigo over Belsomra. For the Edluar, this is the Zolpidem 5 and 10 milligrams sublingual tablets, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits, PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of the Zolpidem tablet, and the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use. For the Flurazepam, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and PA criteria, and then must have trial and failure of all preferred benzodiazepine agents for insomnia or medical justification for use. And then the Hetliaz and Hetliaz LQ, moving to non-preferred, maintaining age and quantity limits, maintaining on the preferred brand drug list, and then we updated its drug-specific PA criteria. For Quazepam, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its quantity limits and PA criteria, and then again, step therapy that they must have trial and failure of all the preferred benzodiazepine agents or medical justification for use. Qubivic, moving to non-preferred, maintaining age and quantity limits and PA criteria, and then again, step therapy must have trial and failure of Belsomra, or the prescriber has submitted medical justification for use over Belsomra. The Tazalmeltion, the generic Hetliaz, moving to non-preferred, maintaining age and quantity limits and GMN criteria, and then again, updating its drug-specific PA criteria. And then the Triazolium, maintaining its preferred status, maintaining its quantity limits and PA criteria. This is different than what we presented to the Therapeutics Committee and Mental Health Quality Advisory Committee. And I see Carol looking like, what have you guys done? And so we did
Just
make
checking.
updates to this because the quantity limit is very small, and we wanted to have allowance for people who were having procedures done, since they do utilize it in procedures, and we didn't want them to miss a procedure time. So I think the quantity limit's like, what, 2 tablets in 10 days or something? Yeah, so it's very small amount to allow them to have that procedure. Anything above that would require a PA. So we updated it to allow for that so that we wouldn't have any disruption in people who were having a procedure. All right. The Zolpidem 7.5 milligram capsule, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its PA criteria and quantity limits, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of the Zolpidem IR 5 milligram. The Zolpidem 1.75 milligram and 3 milligram sublingual tablets, moving to non-preferred, maintaining quantity limits and PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that the prescriber submitted medical justification for use of these, and that they're not using concomitantly with other Zolpidem strengths and formulations. All right. If I've put you to sleep, I'm about to wake you up with our narcolepsy and cataplexy agents. So in the brand named agents, Nuvigil tablets and Provigil tablets are moving to non-preferred, maintaining age and quantity limits, maintaining PA criteria, and maintaining their VMN criteria. The sodium oxybate, the generic Xyrem, will move to non-preferred, maintain age and quantity limits, PA criteria, and generic medically necessary criteria. The Sunosi will move to non-preferred, maintain age and quantity limits, updating its drug-specific PA criteria. And within this PA, we will have continuation of therapy managed through the reauthorization. So just want to point that out, that even though it's moving to non-preferred, if somebody's been on this, the PA criteria does address reauthorization. Same thing for Wakix, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity. And again, the PA criteria will contain continuation of therapy. For the Xyrem, maintaining its preferred status, age and quantity limits, PA criteria, and then adding it to the preferred brand drug list. And then Xywav, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits, and updating its drug-specific PA criteria. Again, continuation of therapy will be managed within the PA criteria. All right, that was a shorter one. We're going to go to the non-stimulant ADHD agents, which means that the big stimulant ADHD agents is coming. So in this class, we have brand name agents, the Catapress TTS patch, Intuitive ER tablets, and Strattera capsules, moving to non-preferred, maintaining their age and quantity limits, PA criteria. Again, we've got the clonidine guanfacine PA that's looking at dosing, and then maintaining its BMN criteria. And I say dosing in combination of products together. For Qelbree, maintaining its preferred status, age and quantity limits, and PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they have previous trial and failure of a preferred ADHD agent. This could include a stimulant or a non-stimulant agent, or history of Qelbree for the past 90 of 120 days. That one was fast. Stimulants not as fast, but we'll work through it. So this group does have PA criteria around duplicate therapy, so I want to point that out. And age. And age, yes, and age as well, and quantity limits. All right, for our brand named agents, the Adderall IR tablets, the Adderall ER and XR capsules, the Atempsio XR capsules, Concerta ER tablets, Dazoxin tablets, Dexedrine ER capsules, Aviccio tablets, Focalin IR tablets, Focalin XR capsules, Metadate CD capsules, methylene solution, Mydayis, Ritalin tablets, Ritalin LA capsules. Moving to non-preferred, maintaining their age and quantity limits, PA criteria, and their BMN criteria. For the non-preferred agents, we do kind of have a global step therapy that will apply unless we say something otherwise. So we do have some agents where we have different step therapy, but if something is non-preferred, the step therapy will apply as must have trial and failure of 2 preferred stimulants that are different chemical entities, or medical justification for use of the non-preferred, or history of the non-preferred agent that they're requesting. So again, unless we otherwise specify, if we're saying non-preferred, this is the step therapy that will apply. So Adzenys XR ODT moved to non-preferred, maintaining its age, quantity limits, and PA criteria, and maintaining it on the preferred brand drug list. And then it will have step therapy that must have trial and failure of the Dianabel XR chew or suspension, or medical justification for use, or history of Adzenys XR ODT. For the amphetamine ER ODT, this is the generic Adzenys XR ODT, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits, PA criteria, and generic medically necessary criteria. So again, both of these agents are going to be non-preferred. The brand's going to be a little bit more preferred over the generic in the non-preferred status. For the amphetamine dextroamphetamine, this is the generic Mydayis ER capsule, moving to non-preferred, age and maintaining their age and quantity limits and PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of the amphetamine dextroamphetamine ER capsules, or medical justification for use of the generic, or over the generic Adderall XR, or history of the requested agent. For the Contempla XR ODT, this is a methylphenidate, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits and PA criteria, and adding non-preferred step therapy requirement. Again, the generic step therapy. For the dextroamphetamine solution, maintaining its preferred status, age and quantity limits, and PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the capsule tablet formulation. For the Jornay PM, maintaining its preferred status, age and quantity, and PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of at least 1 preferred long-acting methylphenidate product, or medical justification for use, or history of Jornay. For the lisdexamphetamine capsule, this is the generic Vyvanse, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits, maintaining its PA criteria, and generic medically necessary criteria. For the lisdexamphetamine chewable tablets, moving to non-preferred, maintaining age and quantity limits, PA criteria, and generic medically necessary criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the capsule formulation. For the methylphenidate ER capsules, this is the generic Atempsio XR, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits and PA criteria, and then adding step therapy that they must have trial and failure of at least 1 preferred long-acting methylphenidate product, or medical justification for use, or history of the generic Atempsio XR. For the methylphenidate patch, this is the generic Daytrana, moving to non-preferred, maintaining age and quantity, PA criteria, and generic medically necessary criteria. And then just of note, this will be temporarily maintained as preferred status and bypassing the generic medically necessary criteria currently because there is a ongoing product shortage of the brand. When that is changed or resolved, then it will move into that status kind of officially. For the Procentra solution, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limits and PA criteria, and then adding the class-wide non-preferred step therapy requirement. For the Relexi, this is a methylphenidate product, moving to non-preferred, maintaining age and quantity limits and PA criteria, adding the class-wide non-preferred step therapy requirement. For the Vyvanse brand name chewable tablet, maintaining its preferred status, age and quantity limits, PA criteria, and maintaining it on the preferred brand drug list. And then adding step therapy that they must be under 12 years of age or 12 years of age and older and unable to swallow the capsule formulation. For the Zellstrom, this is the dextroamphetamine patch, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity limit and PA criteria, and then adding that the step therapy that the prescriber must provide medical justification for the topical formulation. Zenzetti IR tablet, moving to non-preferred, maintaining its age and quantity and PA criteria, and then adding the class-wide non-preferred step therapy requirement. And we made it through all the mental health agents. I'm so proud of you. We're almost there. And I'm almost going to turn it over to Courtney so you don't have to listen to me drone on for a little while and we can move on to somebody else. All right, for the narcotics, the opiate overutilization PA, we did update the MME edits for 2026 through 2027 so that they're in the PA. Again, we're at 325 MME right now. And January 1st, we will be at 300. 300 still sounds like a lot, but we've come a long way because we started at 1,000. So we're making progress. For the skeletal muscle relaxants, there is a new cyclobenzaprine sublingual tablet, Tonmya, moving to non-preferred and adding a quantity limit of 2 sublingual tablets per day, and then adding a step therapy that they must have trial of the cyclobenzaprine IR tablets within the past 30 days. And that concludes the CNS and others. Longest class ever, right? So if I could get a motion in a second to approve all that. If you're still awake.
Still
Said I
moved.
had narcolepsy agents
I
available.
move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
Thank you. We have all ayes. That motion carries. I will now turn it over to my much better half, Courtney, to present the remaining of our therapeutics committee.
Good morning. For dermatologic recommendations for acne agents, the Erie Gel 2% gel brand name, we are removing from the SUPDL as it's no longer manufactured and CMS termed. For the anti-psoriatics, VTAMA, we're recommending moving to preferred status and moving it into the topical immunomodulators drug class and adding it to that PA with drug-specific criteria. And that concludes dermatologic agents. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
This
Move
is
to
Beth.
approve.
Second, Beth.
Hey, did you want to run it again?
I can. Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right, we have all ayes. That motion will carry. Thank you.
All right, endocrine recommendations. Here are the classes with no recommended changes. For bone resorption inhibitors, we're recommending Bildios move to non-preferred and adding it to the bone resorption inhibitors PA with drug-specific PA criteria. And Bilprevda moving to non-preferred and adding it to the bone resorption inhibitors PA with drug-specific PA criteria. So we're going to have a bunch of biosimilars in this class that we're placing today. The Bomintra and the Osenville, we're moving to non-preferred and adding it to the same PA with a step through Bilprevda within the PA. For the Connexins and the Stoboclo, we're moving to non-preferred and adding it to the same PA with a step through the Bildios. For Jubbonti and Prolia, we're maintaining non-preferred statuses and updating the drug-specific PA criteria to include a step through Bildios. And Wyost and Xgeva, maintaining non-preferred status and updating the drug-specific PA criteria to include a step through Bilprevda. Okay, DPP-4 inhibitors and combination agents. The Brinovin is a sitagliptin oral solution. We're recommending moving to non-preferred and adding the step therapy must be 18 years of age or older and unable to swallow. The Janumet XR, we're recommending moving to non-preferred and updating step therapy to must have tried a preferred combination agent for 90 of the past 120 days or provide medical justification for use. For the sitagliptin free base and metformin ER, the generic Zituvimet XR, moving to preferred status and removing the generic medically necessary PA criteria and updating the step therapy to must have tried metformin for 90 of the past 120 days or provide medical justification. For growth hormones, Ngenla, we would recommend maintaining its non-preferred status and updating the drug-specific PA criteria to remove the step through Sogroya, but we're going to maintain the step through Skytrofa. For Skytrofa, maintaining the preferred status and updating its drug-specific PA criteria to include the expanded indication for replacement of endogenous growth hormone in adults and growth hormone deficiency, and remove its drug-specific age limit that we had within the PA. And then Sogroya moving to non-preferred and updating the drug-specific PA criteria to add a step through Skytrofa. For insulin's intermediate acting, the Humulin N Quick Pen, we're recommending moving to preferred, and the Novolog Mix 7030 Flex Pen and Vial moving to preferred. Insulin's rapid acting, Humalog Vial, we would like to move to preferred. Insulin Lispro moving to non-preferred. Marilog moving to non-preferred, and Novolog all formulations moving to preferred. SGLT2 inhibitors and combinations, the Glixambi, we're recommending moving to preferred and removing the step therapy requirement. Qturn, we're recommending maintaining non-preferred status and updating the step therapy to must have tried and failed Glixambi or combination therapy with preferred agents of the same class or prescriber has submitted medical justification for use. Steglagen, maintaining the non-preferred status and updating the step therapy to, I think, the same, tried and failed Glixambi or combination therapy with preferred agents of the same classes, or prescriber has submitted medical justification for use over preferred agents. Testosterone's brand name Androderm patches, we're recommending removing from the SUPDL. It's no longer manufactured in CMS terms. It will also be removed from our quantity limits and the testosterone PA criteria. Urea cycle disorders, the glycerol phenylbutyrate, the generic Ravicti, we would like to maintain non-preferred status and PA criteria and add generic medically necessary PA criteria. The Olpruva, we would like to maintain non-preferred status and update the age limit within the drug-specific PA criteria to include those 1 year of age or older and weighing at least 7 kilograms. For Ravicti brand name, we would like to maintain non-preferred status, maintain PA criteria, and add it to the preferred brand drug list. And class-wide, we would like to update the reauthorization PA criteria to include submission of evidence of continued benefit, such as lower plasma ammonia levels or fewer hyperammonemic crises, et cetera. And that concludes the endocrine classes. Can I have a motion in a second?
So moved. Second, Dr. Marshall.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Phippen,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right, we have all ayes. That motion will carry. Thank you.
Okay, estrogen and related agents. We have no recommended updates for the contraceptives. For the estrogen and related agents, the conjugated estrogens, the generic Premarin tablets, we would like to maintain preferred status and add generic medically necessary PA criteria. The S-Trace brand name tablet, we would like to remove from the SCPDL as it's no longer manufactured and CMS termed. And Premarin brand name tablet, we'd like to maintain its preferred status and add it to the preferred brand drug list. For Linkuet, we would like to move to non-preferred status and add it to the menopausal symptom suppressants PA, previously known as the Veoza PA, with drug-specific PA criteria. And that concludes estrogen and related. Can we get a motion in a second for this?
Move to approve, Dr. Marshall.
Second.
Dr. Marshall, you're sounding very depressed about your motions.
This
We
is the
went through-
second time I've had to do this, okay?
Oh, this is the third time I've had to do some of this, so I get it.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Move to approve. Move to approve.
I like that
I think
better.
Dr.
Thank you.
Hart seconded.
Yeah, we're good. All right, Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
Thank you. We have all ayes. That motion will carry. I need some pep in the step this morning. We need to get excited about this. All right. Okay, they're going to be really thrilled about this. Okay, gastrointestinal agents. We have no recommended changes, so I'm going to need a motion in a second, please.
Move to approve, Dr. Marshall.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Second, Pat.
I think you've got Dr. Hart laughing so much he couldn't even do his second, so I appreciate that.
I was trying, but I couldn't.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
We have all ayes. That motion will carry. Thank you. Okay, and one more time, genitourinary agents. We have no recommended changes.
Move to approve,
Can I
Dr.
please-
Marshall.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Pat.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
I'm slow. Sorry. Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right, we have all ayes. That motion will carry. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this over the phone, but when I have Dr. Hart and Dr. Marshall together, they sound very similar over the phone line. And sometimes when they're motioning, I'm not sure who's who. I don't know if anybody's, just so you guys know, you sound, unless Dr. Marshall's being Eeyore-ish, and then, he sounds a little different.
Well,
I
we're
guess,
two
but-
good-looking guys also.
I'll be
All
better
right.
about identifying myself moving forward.
Oh, no, I just think it's funny that you're right next to each other and you sound almost exactly the same when you guys talk. So you could totally fake me out and you could be, motioning for each other or approving for each other and I wouldn't know. Okay, hematologic agents. We have no recommended changes in these classes. For the direct oral anticoagulants, the Eliquis sprinkle capsule, we would like to move to preferred and add a quantity limit of 4 caps per day for 7 days and then 2 caps per day thereafter. With a step therapy if member is less than 18 years of age and weighs 2.6 kilograms to less than 4 kilograms. For the Eliquis soluble tablet, we'd also like to move this to preferred and add a quantity limit of up to 32 tabs per day for 7 days and then 16 tabs per day thereafter. And a step therapy of member is less than 18 years of age and weighs 4 kilograms to less than 35 kilograms. We would like to add a new drug class, hereditary angioedema agents.
And we would like to add Andembry as non-preferred, Sinrise as preferred, Donzera as non-preferred, Haygarda as non-preferred, Orladeo as preferred, and Takhzyro to preferred. For the leukocyte stimulants, the Niposi, we would like to add to non-preferred and add to the short-acting agent subclass. And then the Risnuta, we'd like to add to non-preferred and add it to the long-acting agents subclass. And that concludes hematologic. Can I please
Move
get a
to
motion in a second?
approve. This is Pat.
Second, Hart.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Oops, aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right, topical agent recommendations. We have no recommended updates in these classes. For the dry eye disease and keratoconjunctivitis, trip tier, we would like to move to non-preferred status and add to the dry eye disease or keratoconjunctivitis PA with drug-specific PA criteria and quantity limit. And then apply the class-specific dispensing terms or the class-specific dispensing terms apply here, which includes no more than 30 days supply to be dispensed at one time. For topical antiparasitics, the Natroba brand, we would like to move to non-preferred, maintain the class-specific quantity limit of 1 bottle or tube per claim, and remove from the preferred brand drug list and add brand medically necessary PA criteria. The Pruratic 10% lotion, we would like to move to non-preferred and add the class-specific quantity limit. And then the Spinosad generic Natroba, we would like to move to preferred, maintain, I lost my tubes. Maintain the class-specific quantity limit and remove the generic medically necessary criteria. For topical immunomodulators, the Anzupco, we would like to move to non-preferred status and add it to the topical immunomodulators PA with drug-specific PA criteria, including an age and quantity limit. The Eucrisa, we would like to maintain preferred status and update the drug-specific PA criteria to include an indication review and quantity limit. For Opzelura, we'd like to maintain the preferred status and update the drug-specific PA criteria to include age limit expansion for atopic dermatitis. For the Zoryve 0.05% cream, we'd like to move that to non-preferred and add to the topical immunomodulators PA with drug-specific PA criteria, including age and quantity limit. The Zoryve 0.15% and 0.3% cream, maintaining current non-preferred statuses and update the quantity limit within the PA criteria to 360 grams per year. The Zoryve 0.3% foam, maintaining non-preferred status and updating the quantity limit within the PA to 360 gram per year. And we're also adding the plaque psoriasis of the scalp and body indication with indication-specific PA criteria. And then class-wide for this PA, we'd like to update the reauthorization PA criteria for all agents to include submission of chart documentation demonstrating positive clinical response to therapy. And that concludes topical agents.
This is Beth. I make a motion to approve.
This is
there a
Peter. I will
second?
second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
We have all ayes, so that motion will carry. Thank you. You have made it through the Therapeutics Committee recommendations, and now Dr. Ott and Dr. Marshall, you'll officially be seeing new things that you, well, you got in your packet, but at least you haven't heard the presentation. So moving on then to our annual review of the OTC drug and the OTC supplement and the contraception formularies. This implementation date will be 1/1/26. So for the OTC contraception formulary, there are no edits or changes. For the OTC drug formulary, we are recommending to add the following products. So the acetaminophen 650 milligrams extended release tablet, the chlorhexidine gluconate 4% solution, and the lidocaine 4% patch. And this will have an age of 12 years and older and a quantity limit of 1 patch per day. And then just a miscellaneous update along with this, the fexofenadine 30 milligram per 5 ml suspension, updating its criteria to include that the age is under 12 years of age or unable to swallow the tablet formulation with a max age of 18 years and then a quantity limit of 10 mils per day. And then for the OTC supplements formulary, adding the following products to it. So artificial saliva solution, the B complex vitamin tablet, ferrous gluconate 240 milligrams and 324 milligram tablet, the folic acid 400 microgram and 800 microgram tablet, the lactobacillus tablet, the sodium chloride 1 gram tablet, and then the zinc sulfate 220 milligram tablet. And then you'll see we do have some removals on the OTC supplements formulary. So that zinc sulfate 220 milligram tablet we just added, we switched out with the 220 milligram capsule. So just want to point that out. And then we have some removals of the polysaccharide iron 150 milligram caplet and tablet, the magnesium carbonate liquid, and the vitamin B complex with minerals liquid. And then removing criteria for the ascorbic acid, 250 milligram, 500, and 1,000 milligram tablets, and removing the age limit of under 18 years. So we did, when they went through and looked up why, like some of these agents to add, we looked at what we were getting requests for and what people, what was coming through our way, as well as things that aren't, removals were things that aren't available anymore. Mostly things that aren't available anymore or things that we're removing. There are a couple cost items that we, like the zinc sulfate that we swapped out. Any questions on the updates to the OTC drug formulary and the OTC supplements formulary and contraceptives formulary? If not, if I could get a motion in a second, please.
Move to approve, Pat.
This is Peter. I will
Second, Hart.
Thank you. And thank you for the lidocaine patches.
Thank you for the
Lidocaine patches.
Oh, lidocaine patches. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. We're going to be like Oprah and give everybody a lidocaine patch. All right. So I have a motion in a second. Dr. Ott.
Aye.
Ms. Fippen.
Aye.
Dr. Hart.
Aye.
Dr. Marshall.
Aye.
Dr. McCarty. Did we lose Beth? You there, Beth? You're on mute if you're... Well, we'll come back to you. Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right. Well, Beth can abstain. We still have a we still are good for approval. So, all right. Moving on then in the agenda to any updates from the managed care groups. Anyone on the phone or in the room? You're fine. I love hearing myself in an echo. It's my favorite. All right, I'm hearing no updates from managed care. So I get to turn it over then to the lovely Dr. Kuhn to present our MME plan.
Good
This
morning.
is Beth. Sorry, guys. I was a yes. I just was having technical issues.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Ann Kuhn. I'm one of the pharmacists with the Office of Medicaid Policy and Planning, and I'll be giving an update on the MME reduction initiative. Today, we'll be reviewing data from quarters 2 and 3 of 2025. So on April 1st, the MME limit was reduced from 400 to 375. The graph on the left includes the number of members newly affected by the 375 MME limit. And then of the newly affected members, those that had an exclusionary diagnosis, those diagnoses are cancer, sickle cell disease, or other terminal illness associated with pain. The number of prior authorizations submitted for the quarter are also included in the graph on the right, along with resulting approvals and denials. For For all plans, there were a total of 77 members newly affected by the 375 MME limit, of which 56 had an exclusionary diagnosis. 21 prior authorizations were submitted across IHCP plans, 20 for Anthem and 1 for MHS. All prior authorizations were approved. And then, so for those approved prior authorizations, the provider either proposed an alternative taper plan or provided documentation of a recent taper attempt. Additionally, sometimes an exclusionary diagnosis is identified during the PA process. And then the graphs in this table include values for the reduction that took place on July 1st to 350 MME. For all plans, there was a total of 55 newly affected members, of which 32 had an exclusionary diagnosis. There was a total of 23 prior authorizations submitted, 20 for Anthem and 3 for MHS, all of which were approved. And then for the last slide, we have the members affected each quarter from all of the IHCP plans. As you can see notated on the slide, there have been approximately 556 members affected by the MME utilization criteria since implementation in April of 2022. Were there any questions I could answer? Thank you.
Thank you. We will then move into our new drugs. We have just one new drug today, Enbumyst, which is a bumetanide product. It's a nasal product, so adding to PA with the following criteria: that they have a requested quantity does not exceed 1 box per 30 days. And the prescriber has submitted medical justification as to why the member needs to exceed the quantity limit of 1 box per 30 days. And that is all we have in the new drugs. Any questions or comments on that? If I could get a motion in a second, please.
This is Beth. I make a motion to approve.
Seconded, Hart.
All right, I have a motion in a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Fippen,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right, I have all ayes. That motion will carry. Thank you. Next on the agenda is liaison with other boards. Anything from our liaisons? Aside from you're glad you don't have to hear this presentation a 4th time or a 3rd time if you're Dr. Marshall. All right. Next on the agenda then is old business. Any old business? All right, hearing none, that takes us then to new business. Anything from the committee or board rather before I move into our new business? Except for that cutie puppy over there. He's the best new business. All right. For the MASH and MASLD agents, the Resdifra updating its initial and reauthorization criteria to include that the member will not be using Resdifra concurrently with Wegovy, since Wegovy now has that indication, or the prescriber has provided valid medical justification for concurrent use of Resdifra and Wegovy. So just an update, like Resdifra will still have the other criteria. This is just an update to their criteria. For the non-SGPDL agents, the PA and step therapy, Cyclos tablets and Xromi oral solution, these are all hydroxyurea formulations, updating their initial reauthorization and reauthorization criteria to remove examples from the criteria. So we'll just have prescriber has submitted medical justification for use of Cyclos tablets or Xromi solution over the hydroxyurea capsules, and then we're just going to leave it at that. And then our preferred brand drug list updates that will go in on 1/1/26. So additions to the list include Lamictal IR kit and ODT kit, Lyrica solution, Neurontin solution, Premarin tab, Ravicti oral liquid, Riteri ER capsules, Tegretol IR tabs, and Xyrem solution. And then removals from the preferred brand drug list include the Natroba topical suspension. And then Zepatier is no longer being manufactured and is being discontinued effective as of 12/1 of 25. And so we are removing that from the SUPDL just as an FYI. And that concludes our new business. Any questions, comments, concerns on those? If not, if I could get a motion in a second, please.
So moved. Hart.
Second, Petra.
All right, thank you. I have a motion and a second. Dr. Ott,
Aye.
Ms. Pippin,
Aye.
Dr. Hart,
Aye.
Dr. Marshall,
Aye.
Dr. McCarty,
Aye.
and Dr. Treadwell.
Aye.
All right, we have all ayes. That motion carries. Thank you. That now takes us up to public comment in our agenda. I'm going to pull up my timer here really quick. Maybe. My computer wants to cooperate with me. All right. First up, then we have Dr. Lambertson with Cobenfy.
Hello there.
Hello.
Yes, so I'm pleased to let you give me opportunity to speak. I am a clinical psychiatrist working in Northeast Indiana, and I wanted to speak to Cobenfy, which I probably at this point have started a little over 100 people on in the past year, and I have a lot of important clinical observations. But just as a review, for the last 70 years, we've been treating schizophrenia, at least the positive symptoms of schizophrenia, with D2 blockers because we believe that there's an excess amount of dopamine in the ventral striatum. That is the positive symptoms. We can address the negative and cognitive symptoms later if you wish. What happens with D2 blockers is they have a lot of side effects because the D2 blockers cross the body and the brain in multiple locations, and the problem still remains in the ventral striatum. Well, for the first time, we have a muscarinic agonist that instead of blocking dopamine, decreases the release of dopamine into that part of the brain and works differently. It's like turning down the spigot instead of blocking the excess amount of water at the end of the stream. And this is very beneficial. It avoids a lot of the side effects of the D2 blockers. But in my clinical experience, I'd have to say that at least 25% of my patients, it's not sufficient. That we still need a D2 blocker in order to get optimal response. I like to think in terms of analogy with high blood pressure. When we treat hypertension, there are now 14 different mechanisms of action in treating hypertension. And when we treat it inadequately, we can end up with strokes, heart attacks, and deaths. If we treat schizophrenia inadequately, it can also lead in deaths because you don't want someone who's hearing voices telling them to kill themselves or kill someone else only partially treated. The response to adequate treatment I have found to be remarkable, as well as the decrease in side effects. If you can give me another 2 minutes, I can help share some clinical observations that I don't think you'll hear anywhere else.
That's fine. Ask any questions.
Dr.
I
Ott,
don't hear anything.
if you have any questions for Dr. Lambertson, Dr. Kuhn is saying you're welcome to ask them, or the board is welcome to ask them, but there is a 2-minute time limit per speaker. Any questions from the board for Dr. Lambertson? All right. Thank you, Dr. Lambertson. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next up on the list, we have Dr.
Excellent.
Maroof with Versiclos.
Yes, do you hear me? Hi.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Dr. Rafik Maroof. I am the Medical Affairs Director at Medunic Pharmaceutical. I'm here to present Cyclos as the first FDA-approved hydroxyurea indicated for adults and pediatric patients 2 years of age and older for sickle cell disease. And of course, hydroxyurea remains the gold standard disease-modifying treatment for this disease because of its safety and efficacy shown in several clinical trials. However, during these trials, the dose was always precisely adjusted to the patient's body weight, which is not the case in the real practice. With some hydroxyurea formulations, the prescriber must either use higher dosing or lower dosing of capsules. Otherwise, they dose for every other day. This is not an optimal treatment for a child with rapidly changing weight. Cyclose film-coated tablets taken only once daily are available as 100 milligram score tablet and 1000 milligram triple score tablet, which offer a variety of strengths from 50 milligram to 1000 milligram to help the physician to titrate correctly and precisely each patient based on their weight. For patients who cannot swallow the tablets, they can be dissolved in a small quantity of water on a teaspoon. The NIH guidelines recommend starting hydroxyurea at 9 months of age. In fact, cyclose has been studied in pediatric patients less than 2 years of age, demonstrating an efficacy and safety compared to placebo in this population. And the label change request is submitted to the FDA to include patients under 2 years of age. However, please note that the indication currently is limited to patients 2 years of age and older. For important safety information, please refer to cyclose prescribing information, and I respectfully request that cyclose be added to the preferred drug list, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions for Dr. Maroof? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Sherry Orbach for Rezdiffra.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much for reviewing Rezdiffra today. I'm just on to answer any questions you may have, so please let me know. I don't have a statement for you.
Any questions for Sherry today? Thank you very much. Next up, we have Dr. Hampshire for Sublocade.
Yep. Do you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Let's get started. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Cambridge, and I'm a pharmacist on Indivior's medical team. We appreciate the committee's continued support for Sublocade on the preferred drug list, and at the same time, clinicians share that one of the remaining challenges is the manual PA process. This is because even short delays can interrupt care for patients, especially in today's fentanyl-driven environment, where the treatment window is often very short and delays in treatment initiation can be fatal. In a recent large Medicaid analysis, patients with greater adherence to Sublocade experienced significant reductions in healthcare resource utilization, including fewer inpatient admissions, fewer ED visits, and fewer detox admissions. The FDA's recent label update supports this same principle of continuity. Patients new to treatment can now begin Sublocade on day 1 after a single test dose of transmucosal buprenorphine. In the rapid initiation study, this approach proved non-inferior to a 7-day induction and achieved higher early and sustained treatment retention, including fentanyl users, those patients most susceptible to barriers if they appear. Taken together, this data highlights that streamlined access helps patients stay engaged, lowers healthcare resource utilization, and supports sustained recovery. In support of this data and label changes, we kindly request removal of the PA for the OUD treatment class, or if a PA must remain, that it transition to an electronic PA to eliminate delays for OUD patients ready to begin treatment. Thank you for your time and your commitment to improving access for this OUD population. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Hampshire? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Dr. Boland for Cobenfy.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm Patrick Boland. I am a field HEOR scientist at Bristol Myers Squibb. I'm a pharmacist by background, and I also have a board certification in psychiatric pharmacy. I'm here to discuss Cobenfy, which is a first-in-class orally administered combination of xanomeline and trospium, which is FDA approved for the treatment of adults with schizophrenia and is the only muscarinic agonist and non-dopamine blocking agent for schizophrenia on the market. I'd like to briefly address conversations had at the most recent therapeutics committee in regard to a provider that provided public comment and requested removal of the attestation and restrictions on duplicate therapy for Cobenfy. The committee was concerned about the lack of long-term data, real-world evidence, and data on adjunctive use. Cobenfy now has some of that data in regards to those items, to which I'll briefly speak to. In two one-year-long studies assessing the use of Cobenfy in the outpatient and open-label setting, Cobenfy showed continued schizophrenia symptom improvement outwards of 1 year and showed no new safety signals from the 5-week trials. Body weight generally decreased, and there were minimal to no cases of movement disorders. Additionally, side effects were generally rated to be mild and moderate in nature and self-limiting. The first cut of real-world evidence for Cobenfy was presented at U.S. Psych Congress and showed patient characteristics and adherence rates. Cobenfy showed adherence rates at 5 months of over 80%, and the patients on Cobenfy had concomitant use with many other medications expected in this population, including antidepressants, anticholinergics, and antipsychotics, as well as concomitant mental health diagnosis of mood and other affect-related conditions. Also presented at that same Congress was the result of a 6-week phase 3 adjunctive use study. The study aimed to assess the efficacy and safety of adjunctively used Cobenfy. While not statistically significant, there was a numerical separation favoring Cobenfy when used adjunctively. Additionally, no new safety signals were identified with the adjunctive use of Cobenfy. So based on this information provided, respectively, we'd like to ask the committee to remove the attestation for Cobenfy and align duplicate therapy requirements with other antipsychotic agents. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board? All right, thank you very much. And then last on the list, we have Dr. Kaufman West for Cabenuva.
Hi, thank you. I'm an infectious disease physician in Northwest Indiana, and am asking for Cabenuva to be put on the formulary, or at least to remove the prior authorization. So patients that have HIV obviously have, we teach them very early on about the need for compliance and taking their medications every day, and we go through all the dangers of not taking them every day. And so most people that are on their medications, like their oral pills, they are happy with it and they don't want to change. However, there is a small subset of patients that have trouble with compliance with oral medications for a variety of reasons. For example, I have several patients who are shift workers who will work some days and then a night and then a couple days, and trying to maintain compliance with oral medications that are supposed to be at a certain time every day, same time, can be difficult. In addition, patients that have issues with transportation, having to get to a pharmacy every month to pick up their oral medications because they only get 30 days at a time, and then also having to arrange transportation to get to the laboratory to be able to get their labs done on time. With Cabenuva, they're able to get their injection and their lab draws all at the same time. So it's one ride that they have to get instead of several rides in between their patient appointments. So there's a lot to consider with this medication, including the fact that it takes away a lot of the anxiety, treatment adherence anxiety, fear of disclosure, fear of stigmatization. Some of these patients live with roommates or family members that don't know their status. And so trying to hide pills and take them behind closed doors can be really difficult and stressful for patients. There was a recent study in open form infectious diseases that showed that not only does treatment satisfaction increase significantly, 97% of patients who were on long-acting injectables preferred it, and also the number that were feeling fear and stigmatization decreased at 1 year, making it an overall good pick.
Thank you. Just wanted to point out to the board that fee-for-service does not manage Cabenuva, so we don't have PA criteria on it for fee-for-service, so this is more around the managed care groups, but any questions or comments from the board? Thank you very much. All right, with that, that is the end of our public comment. Anything else from the board at this time? All right, Dr. Ott, that leads us to our adjournment.
And I would like to thank OMPP for the efficiency of presenting that information. I think this was the shortest of the 4 meetings I sat in about this stuff.
Thank you.
And we will otherwise adjourn.
Have a great Thanksgiving and holiday, everybody, and a great weekend. Thank you
Thank you,
for your time and attention.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys. Thank everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.